What's up, Planeswalkers? It's your boy K-Dog. Another fun video for you guys. This one we got an Orzhov Aristocrats list. And in this one we got a lot of sweet new cards from Ikoria. Obviously a lot of people are building kind of similar decks. We got Lurrus, Bastion of Remembrance, the Serrated Scorpion, and Garrison Cat. So obviously the other versions I've seen rely on like Midnight Reaper for card advantage and Mothra to kind of get everything back, and that's that's pretty sweet. But we're gonna do something a little bit different here. This is very low to the ground. We're very heavily concentrated on our 1 and 2 drops, and we do have just enough 3 drops to really get as much value as we can. We try to keep the curve as low as possible, kind of go wide with all these cheap creatures and do all the sacrifice effects and just ping your opponent for millions of damage. So going over some of the new cards here, Lurrus of the Dream Den. We're just playing it here in a main deck, not as a companion. It is a 3/2 for 3 mana, 1 and hybrid Orzhov colors. It does have lifelink, so that's pretty sweet. We'll skip the companion part because we're not doing that. During each of your turns, we can cast 1 permanent spell with mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard. So like I said, we're pretty heavily on the 1 and 2 drops, so this is going to get us something back pretty much every turn. It is legendary, so we are running 3 of because it is pretty important, but I don't think we need all 4 or anything like that. And Bastion of Remembrance is a 3 mana enchantment for 2 and black. When it enters, we get a 1/1 human soldier creature token. And whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So this, combined with Cruel Celebrant, you're just going to go off and get like a millions of triggers, and you can just ping your opponent for like 10, 15, 20 damage pretty easily. So yeah, Cruel Celebrant is, of course, is a 1/2 for 2. Whenever it or another creature or planeswalker you control dies, each opponent loses 1 and you gain 1. We're all in on creatures, not planeswalkers. But it's nice that the Celebrant does count itself. And then, of course, the Bastion doubling that up and giving us a creature as well, because they don't care if it's tokens or anything like that, any creatures of any kind. The other new cards we got are Garrison Cat. It's a 1/1 for 1. And when it dies, you get a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. So when we're sacrificing stuff, having another creature left behind to also sacrifice fodder is pretty sweet. And of course, the Serrated Scorpion is a 1/2 for 1, so that 2 toughness is pretty cool. And when it dies, deals 2 damage to each opponent, and you gain 2 life. So this stacks really well, obviously, with the Bastion and the Cruel Celebrant as well. And then Lurrus just kind of brings them back turn after turn. But here's another card I really wanted to highlight, though, is Bankrupt in Blood. This is a card I've been looking to kind of find a home for. Oh man, you don't need Midnight Reaper or anything like that. 2 mana, sorcery speed, additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice 2 creatures. That's what we're trying to do. Draw 3 cards. For 2 mana, you sack 2 creatures, which is already what we're trying to do, and you draw 3 cards. This is just a beautiful card. Love it here in this deck. And of course, Woe Strider gives us another sacrifice outlet. It's a 3/2 for 3. Get a 0/1 white goat creature token when it enters, and then we can just sacrifice another creature at will to scry 1. And we can always escape it back for 5 mana, and it comes back with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. So the 2 toughness can be kind of easy to shock or disfigure, things like that, but we can always escape it later on. And of course, with escape, we're going to be looking to exile our removal spells, and we also got some Fabled Passages specifically for not only fixing, but to have lands then to escape our Woe Strider. But it's just a 2 of. But you could maybe play around with some of these numbers, but I think just bringing cards back with Lurrus is a little more important than the Woe Strider. But you can maybe switch these to 3 and 2, but this feels pretty good just in how I run it. And of course the Bankrupt in Blood just helps you draw a bunch of cards. We also have Spark Harvest as our removal spell for 1 mana, sorcery speed. We can either sacrifice a creature or pay 3 and an additional black to destroy a creature or planeswalker. So 1 mana, being able to destroy a creature or a planeswalker is pretty sweet. And then of course the returning familiar cards, we've got 4 Hunted Witness. It's kind of the same thing as a Garrison Cat. 3 Gutterbones. Just could be a way to kind of chip in damage in the early turns. Just play it on turn 1, start attacking your opponent for 2 damage, and just getting that early damage in. It's going to help you close out games just a little bit faster. And then of course it can self-return with you're getting all these triggers from the Cruel Celebrant and the Bastion to do damage to your opponent, so they're losing life. You can just return this to your hand and then cast it again, in addition to Lurrus. So you can get something else out of Lurrus, and then you can bring Gutterbones back to your hand and then cast it again that way. So that's pretty cool. We also got Orzhov Enforcer. Just like having the Death Touch here, so if your opponent does get off to a little bit of a faster start, this can kind of attack or block into any larger creatures on your opponent's side. And then of course it leaves another creature behind, so it's always nice to have the option if you just want to sacrifice it and start getting value that way. And that's pretty much the main deck here. And so for the mana base, what do we got? 21 lands, since we are pretty low to the ground. So just one of each of the castles. Castle Ardenvale can help us make more creature tokens if the game kind of drags on a little bit. And then of course Castle Locthwain can help us dig for cards. We do lose a little bit of life, but our hand will probably be empty and we'll just be losing 1 life anyway, and we're gaining life with our Celebrant and Bastion, so it's not a big deal. 5 plains, 6 swamp, 4 Godless Shrine, and instead of Temple we're running all 4 Fabled Passages, like I said, for the escape on the Woe Strider. So that's the main deck. And so in the sideboard here, again, we're just trying to keep the answers as efficient as possible. So we got 2 Light of Hopes, just a fantastic new card to deal with mono red, as we can gain life, destroy an enchantment, or put a +1 counter on a creature we control. Instead of Agonized Morphs, we're just going to go with 4 Duress, just because it's a little bit cheaper. And we're not necessarily as worried about like non-creature spells. We're more interested in like planeswalkers and anything bigger like that. And a couple copies of Tithe Taker. This can kind of come in when we want to shut down our opponent's activated abilities, or if they're trying to play spells on our turn, like flash decks. Tithe Taker can kind of help slow those decks down a little bit. And Heartless Act, again, just more removal without having to worry about sacrificing creatures. If your opponent has a very removal-heavy deck, we can bring Heartless Act and give us some additional removal without having to sacrifice things. And then Despark, just a 2 mana, being able to exile something on our opponent's side for mana 4 or greater, so this is great obviously against like Fires of Invention and things like that. And then Dire Tactics, we do have some humans, not a lot, so we can exile a creature, so if we need exile removal we'll just bring in Dire Tactics. Occasionally we will lose life to this, but obviously we do have ways of gaining life. There we go, let's shove them there. So 3 Tithe Takers actually, so 15, there we go. Yeah, and then 2 Heartless Act, 2 Despark, 2 Dire Tactics. Alright, so that's the deck. Let's jump into some best of 3 and see how we do. Cruel Dreams. Not to see too much from them. Up against Ryan S10. Alright, we got a couple cool Cruel Celebrants, some card draw, no sacrifice fodder. So just lead with the passage, grab a swamp, and then we'll be balanced 2 of each. Cerulean Red. This person does not like playing mono red. Swamp. Celebrant online. And start finding our 1-drops. This is just the blue-white flyers list. Show other one Cerulean Drake here in their main. Ikoria gave us some pretty sweet 2-drops. Well, I think it's a rare though, so maybe that's why that's haven't been able to craft them yet. Or they just really don't like mono red. So now we have a little bit of fodder. Ideally a Hunted Witness or Garrison Cat would be our best draw. Let's see if they have the Eagle or something else here on turn 3. A million cards in hand. Just the 1 creature so far. Assuming this is the Empyrean Eagle Blue-White Flyers list. There it is. Attacking for 2. No attacks. Alright, we can Bastion of Remembrance. Make a fodder. Sack a creature. Get rid of that eagle as soon as possible. We'll just sack the token. A bunch of triggers. Goes back to a 1/1. And I think we attack. Doubt they block with the Gutterbones, and we can always bring it back, so I think we just bluff him. Vanishing Light on the Bastion. Okay. So not a very efficient use of your mana. Just keep attacking it. If they block it, we'll just bring it back. Nope. I think we'll just hold up here. 1/1's not really doing too much. We're more worried about like the eagle or something like that. Obviously, they're a long way from Safari, if that's still part of the build. Okay, there's that new 2-drop. The Sky Cat Sovereign is really, really good. Flooding out pretty hard here. Just grab another swamp. We do need to get that off the table. Spark Harvest, destroy the Sky Cats. Okay. Bounce it, but they still lose some life. We attack in. We just need to draw at this point. Oh, is that lethal? Okay. That's right. Cruel Celebrant does stack, so hey, we got there against the Blue-White Flyers. Pretty slow start from them. Enforcer is not really great. Obviously, the 1/1's flyer, but same thing with Tithe Taker, so I like that a lot better. We shave off those. Oops. Just to make room for a couple of Light of Hopes. Deal with their banishing lights and whatnot. We should probably make room for as much removal as we can. Obviously, Spark Harvest is fine. Unsummon sort of worked, but we still got it off the board and got the Celebrant triggers, so it wasn't really the worst. Don't think we need Duress here. Just a little bit more removal is probably what we're looking for. Lurrus is just okay in this matchup. And maybe we shave a Bastion just to keep the curve a little bit tighter. And if we really need more, we can bring in Dire Tactics here in game 3 and just kind of figure out a couple other things to trim off. We'll try like that. This Blue-White Flyers list got some really perfect options here in the new set. That new 2-drop Sky Cat Sovereign or whatever, it's exactly what they needed. Island go. Get our Godless Shrine, pay the life, get our cat online. Holding up an unsummoned? No, Spectral Sailor, sure. Not too worried about that yet. Sailor into Winged Words is pretty good. Go on. We just want to start thinning the deck. We are drawing quite a few lands here. All these removal spells. Sack for 1. We just hold these Spark Harvests for now. Here's hot. If we can get set up, then we'll be in good shape. And they're not going to block, so let's just attack. And next thing we have Lurrus plus Spark Harvest. A couple swamps already, so I guess we'll grab the Fabled Passage and grab Plains. Knowing the way things are always moving around here. Okay, got Lurrus down. Let's attack. I think we want to get rid of the Sailor. Take away the card advantage. Not too worried about the lifelink on the Hawk just yet. If we can get our engine going, then we can ping them down pretty hard. Glass casket. So they're got all the control, but they're not really putting a whole lot of pressure on us, so that's not the worst. Attack in. Tithe Taker. And pass. So we have a couple tokens we can sack to the Spark Harvest for any eagles or anything else they got. Well, this Hawk can just chip away for 1. We still have a pretty decent board state. Garden Mage. Something to destroy. We can find our engine here soon. I'm not sure this is enough here. Still 3 cards in hand. It's pretty good. Not playing anything. I'm gonna flash in a Sailor. Just holding up counter magic. Petty Theft. Nope. Looking for anything we can get at this point. The last casket. There we go. It's something. There's the eagle. For anything but lands at this point. Bankrupt in blood. I think we're pretty desperate here. We're going to lose the game if we don't do this. And get the triggers. And draw 3. Gotta find some creatures in there. Haunted Witness. Gutterbones. Target the eagle. We have unsummon. We'll just hold that second one. Last Spark Harvest for any other threats. This 1/1 Healer's Hawk is annoying, but it's manageable. Still not sure what our opponent's holding up this whole time. Safara. Okay, we can destroy that. Woe Strider. Sack the goat. Buy Safara. Crash in for 3. Some lifelink of our own, thanks to that Haunted Witness token. Vanishing Light. Just been holding up removal this whole time. Don't need to sacrifice these guys. Rally of Wings. It's pretty desperate. It's not very good once you sideboard in like a million removal spells. And where you hold up counter spells. They're just holding up like a negate or something. I just don't understand what they're holding on to. That's a lot of lands for 21 lands. You're dealing one, getting one. We're dealing 3 and getting 1 back. So save this Heartless Act for something else. Oh wow. Glass Casket. I have no clue what their last card is. Just a counterspell, I guess? What do we have in our graveyard? We do have creatures in our graveyard. Let's see if we can bail out a counterspell. Okay, they don't have counters. Then let's destroy an enchantment. Oh, these are artifacts. And attack for 1. We can at least sack this goat and scry for anything that's not a land. Is it just land in their hand? It's gotta be. Scorpion is okay. Some sacrifice fodder. We need another Castle Locthwain. Maybe we need 2 here. Well, we can sack him to deal 2 more. So that's a good game. Okay. That should be it. Whew. Blue-white flyers. So yeah, definitely made things pretty interesting. That's kind of the problem with sideboarding in a whole bunch of removal spells is if you don't put enough counter pressure on your opponent to close out the game. So yeah, we kind of flooded out there, but thanks to their maybe over sideboarding, we're able to kind of catch up and get there. Yeah, I think with all the life gain and the way we kind of flooded out there, maybe another Castle Locthwain is probably the answer. We have plenty of black sources with the 5 swamps and the 4 Godless Shrines. Try to keep it at 1 just so we can kind of play on curve as much as possible because we want to just add as much board presence as we can. And then of course we do have the 3 drops, so trying to play those on curve as much as possible. But yeah, I mean the Fabled Passage can get you those swamps as well to make the Castle Locthwain easier to come in as well. So yeah, it's probably the one change I would make. Yeah, definitely a lot of fun. A little bit different from the other builds that are kind of a little bit more heavy on the 3 and 4 drops, Priest and Cauldron Cat Oven combo, which is just so overplayed at this point. So yeah, if you're looking for a little bit different version of Sacrifice, yeah, give that one a try, or kind of inspire your own build. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.